Okay, we are recording. Hello, people who are watching this in the future. Welcome to, I don't know what call it is because I stopped counting probably 8 calls ago.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Day. We'll just say that.
yeah, welcome to Wednesday. And I don't have any thoughts right now because my brain is broken. So,
Oh, languaging. Is it really?
how was, did you have any asking adventures this last week?
I'm trying to think if I had any since we talked on Friday. Well, the people in the future didn't get to hear all that and
Right.
see my little mini meltdown. Um, so that was a fun adventure. And we'll end up having to have part two of the conversation. So it actually is a conversation that to me gets into the ideas and issues of values and boundaries, which asks often do, right?
Hmm.
Um, had a conversation, although it was it was slightly one-sided because I was having a moment. Um, there's something I'm needing my half side to do, like needing, not
For
just
those of you who don't speak Naomi, half-sided spouse. Go on.
yes, my husband, my half side, this man who walks beside me. Actually, there's his picture. Um, and it's something that goes against what he believes is right for him. But this isn't just it'd be really neat if you would. No, this is, I need you to do this. Like last month, 2 years ago, I don't know. But can't go back and change that, even though Layla always talks to hello people in the future. We can only go forward. But it's to the point where it's like this is big. Before it was small, then it was medium, slightly annoying, and now it's big, and it's not devastating, but it is feeling. So please get the distinction. It isn't devastating. It just is what it is. And as much as I hate that phrase, if I take the emotion out of it, it's like, okay, so where do we need to find the compromise? And in that moment, when it came up, when all the emotion was behind it, there was no, okay, let's look at this logically. How do we find that compromise? Because sometimes asks aren't a firm yes or a firm no, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, okay, yes, and let's negotiate that. So, there was a meltdown, and it will require part two of that conversation because it wasn't complete.
Yeah.
And I'm having to move out of my own Leo little way and recognize that just because this has to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right.
Because it involves another being.
Right. Isn't that fun?
Oh, yeah. And I know we've talked about attachment in the past and that kind of thing. And yes, I am very attached to the outcome of this. And what's really interesting is I've had other people approach me. It's one thing if I'm just like, oh my God, can you believe that my friend said this? Oh, she did. Oh, what a bitch. No, it's not that kind of thing. And I've had other people say, why isn't this happening? How come this? How come X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, if you'd like to come and sit in on the dialogue, I wish you good fucking luck. So it's not that I'm out there trying to get people to buy into my side, but people have approached me about it. And I'm like, frick. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's that when I say it has to happen, it's like from my perspective, and that's the only place I can come from at this point with this issue because I don't have all the perspectives. Because I know that there's more that isn't yet being shared with me as to how he feels about it. But from my perspective, it absolutely has to happen. There is, we're always at choice, but it is the only smart choice from my perspective. And I realize this is from my perspective. But what I'm sitting with this week, and this is part of why there's going to be a part two of the conversation, because if I were to leave it as it is, it would probably be nothing but just, distraught and frustration because I'm attached to the outcome.
Right.
My desired outcome. So I'm getting that whole picture. This is what's made it so juicy, is now that I'm able to step out of the majority of the emotion of it. There's still emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise I probably wouldn't be saying it has to happen.
Yeah.
But it's been great because it helps me to see where am I attached? Where do I think my way is best? Where do I think my way is the only way? And what else energetically gets cut off for me when we can't have this conversation? We won't have this conversation. There isn't a compromise. There isn't a yes, or there's only a no. There's not even a maybe. There's not a let's talk about it and figure it out. So there, I'm getting to see where energetically it's impacting me and how that's manifesting physically. And since that's what I do with people, it's like, okay, this is a great opportunity to walk my talk.
Yeah.
Own my shit and move through it, not just get over it, but explore and the word implore wants to come up, so maybe I will implore the tools I have. And thank you, Leela, for helping clear some of that last week. That was really helpful in getting me recentered. And I got the message. We need to sit with. You need to sit with us. I got that, and I've been doing that, and it's been helping. Go figure.
Yay!
Because it's not answering the question. It's not answering the ask, but it's helping me to see a little more clearly. I'm not going to say clearly because that part isn't quite there yet, but a little more clearly to, if the answer is still no, what needs to happen instead? And so it's helping me kind of back off of that attachment some, if that makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that is really interesting. In that I don't have any of that. Like, my impulse is, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
This isn't something I can do myself.
No. So what I would do in your shoes, and I'm not asking you to do it, I'm just looking at how, like, the dichotomy of Naomi Leela, where Naomi's like, do the thing for me because you love me, damn it. And I'm like, okay, you're not doing the thing. All right, cool. So what can I do?
Well, there's more behind it than just because you love me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much emotional pieces behind it, and so much that I've hung on it. And when I was single, I think I did a lot more of the, and not to say this is a single versus married thing, I don't know that it is. I was very accustomed to doing, if there wasn't anybody there, of course, I had to do it myself. Yeah. I was single for 44 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of shit for myself in those 44 years. I also relied on other people in those 44 years. It's not like, oh my God, I was, no man is an island kind of a thing. In this instance, I could pursue parts of it myself. Mm-hmm. I couldn't fully do it myself. Mm-hmm. He has to be involved.
Right.
So this is a little bit, when you say, I'll do it myself, it's a little bit like the I want to get home conversation.
Yeah.
And am I attached to what the end result is? Because the end result is stability. Because as an entrepreneur, it can be really great month, not so much. Really great month, really great month. Whoa, really bad month. It's a roller coaster. It's cyclical. It's seasonal. It's it's being an entrepreneur. And the fact that we both work for ourselves, it's, there are some months where it's like, what the hell just happened? Both on the really great side and on the not as great side. And so the outcome is really the stability. And I'm recognizing, like you said, fuck it, I'll do it myself. So I'm looking at, okay, where am I attached to that being the solution when there may be another solution?
Yes, that's what I mean when I say fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the furniture moving from last call.
And our in-between call.
And our in-between call. But you know, what the people watching heard was, you know, I asked my furniture moving, my mover of large items, to move a large item that they said, no, that's not gonna work. And then my solution was to move it with someone else. And it got undone, which was simultaneously infuriating and amusing.
Yes.
And
Amazing
so
how those opposite emotions can live in the same space.
yeah, I was too busy laughing to be mad, but there was definitely some anger in there because I was like, what's wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? So I was attempting to dispose of a piece of furniture, and my solution did not unfold in my desired way. So I tucked it away while I figured out what to do with it, and then one day it disappeared. Like literally, someone came along and
Poof.
cut it into pieces and put it into the mini trash cans out front, and I was like,
Problem solved. Thanks,
yeah.
universe.
But like, I could have been really upset, and you know, my go-to is to like be done with people.
Oh, yes.
Like, you displeased the empress and now off with your head.
Yeah.
And this was not even not even that. It was just like, okay, so I'm sort of sad about this, now I have to figure it out. And you know, this is not the same scale as what you are experiencing. But the moving thing, which kind of feels similar in scale, like
Absolutely.
like house, like hello, bigger home than I'm currently in, washer and dryer because 3 kids. Um, and that like I really did walk away from not agreeing with my partner about a space that I was in love with. With fuck it, I'll do it myself. And it's not turning out that way, but being in that space gave us some very interesting clarity
Uh-huh.
of, you know, I really like having the freedom, the personal empowerment, regardless of who I'm in relationship with or who I'm partnered with, to be able to make decisions
Right.
that work for me.
Right.
Because even though that space wasn't ideal, it was exponentially better than our individual spaces at the moment.
Right.
And it would have been a stepping stone into a more yummy space. That was funny.
That was actually just my eye. You got the door open today, so itchy. It wasn't an eye twitch. That was an actual.
Yeah, I know, but like the way the eye that was actually open moved was hilarious.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to go watch the damn video. Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. But it wasn't I don't love you anymore. I don't like you anymore. I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't want to combine spaces with you anymore. It was, I don't want my choices to be relegated to someone else's actions or decisions or choices.
You're a bigger woman than I am.
Okay, sure.
I'm just saying.
I receive that and I will accept that because I feel like that's my unique perspective on things. It genuinely comes from a place of wounding. It comes from not having people that I could rely on
Yep.
to make decisions that either I desired or that would genuinely be beneficial to me. Like, do I know that my mom made a shitty decision when she moved me to O'Fallon? I don't know that. But I do know that before I moved here, I had a plan and a path and a trajectory that got all fucked up when we moved out here. And so a lot of that is I meet people where they are.
Yeah.
I do my best to accept them for who they are. And then I place them strategically accordingly.
And as you say that, one of the things that comes up for me is most of the time I do that pretty well. I don't do that with my half side.
So what is that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have expectations.
Tell us more.
I didn't fall.
No, I didn't fall. I'm not liking the light. I don't like the light.
Well, it was creating very nice chiaroscuro on you, so. But anyway, I have expectations. And it's kind of like the whole, oh my God, languaging when you said you broke your brain. We each have, in NLP, we call it our own map of reality, but we each have the way we view the world. We have filters that we view the world from. We have the ways we process information. We have the ways we listen, whether we're inferential or literal. There's all sorts of things that make up how communication happens. Or as one of my mentors likes to put it, the problem with communication is people assume it happens. And so my library, if you will, of what certain words mean, how I relate to them internally, that's why if somebody says, oh yeah, I take a holistic approach, that you can ask 10 different people and holistic is going to mean 10 different things because of how they relate to the word holistic, for example. And we each have those definitions. Yes, we've got Webster maybe in there somewhere, but we also have our own relating to words. So I have expectations. You have said this is important to you and you're behaving this way. In my world, those don't line up.
Right.
So you're either bullshitting over here or this means something and now I'm mad. So that's kind of been, for me, that's been where the part of me does want to say, fuck you, I'm taking my toys and I'm playing elsewhere. And it doesn't mean I would leave because this isn't not work throughable. I don't know if that was
perfect American.
I was going to say, I don't know if Webster would like that whole concoction, but
Grammarly would be mad, but
Grammarly's probably mad at me a lot. Probably just gotten to the point where it's just pinch the bridge of the nose and shake the head. I don't know if I've always blamed it on being a Leo because it does tend to be, you're dead to me. You don't want to play in my playground? A few.
Is that a fire sign thing? Because
it probably is, which is really great because he's a fire sign too. So, but there's sort of this. Now you're going to have to really fucking prove yourself. And I'm recognizing, please, if you're watching this video, realize I recognize this is my shit. This has nothing to do with what he is or isn't willing to do, is or isn't able to do, does or doesn't want to do. This is all, and that's been the glorious thing about doing this whole year of Ask. I have some weeks where I feel like, God, other than the business asks that I keep asking, regularly in my networking groups and in my marketing and my, conversations and whatever? Am I really doing it? Asking. But that's been great about this journey because it's taken me through so many emotional avenues and dissecting, if you will, what is really going on. Where are those attachments? It's been so much more than just, well, I asked and, oh my God, the universe delivered, or I asked and it didn't end up looking anything like I expected, but it was so much better. Or I asked and it ended up not being what I thought I wanted. And I'm kind of disappointed, even though I see it's a really great thing, but I'm still obviously a little disappointed because it wasn't that. B is really great, but I really wanted A. But it's been so much more than that. It has been this, okay, how do I dive in? What are the emotions underneath there? I do believe that that's the way through to getting what I want, need, and desire.
Yeah.
Really.
I agree.
And that may not look like him ever taking action on what this is that I think he has to do. It's hard to even utter those words. And at some point I will become okay with that.
Yeah, what I love most about this conversation, really every conversation that we have, is it could be heal the healer.
Yeah.
Because hello, we're human and we have shit.
We got two legs just like everybody else.
And the brilliant thing about it is we also have tools and we have each other.
Yeah.
So, when I am losing my mind, there's Naomi and Janice and Joanne and my whole crew who's like, all right, sometimes it's, you're being crazy, stop it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, here, have a little timeline therapy. Naomi saying, take a deep breath, and then I'm not in my body anymore.
And sometimes it's just a matter of having somebody hold that space so you can have the meltdown.
And then it's that, yeah. Then it's crying in my car on my lunch break.
Yeah, having that space to have the meltdown, to feel the feelings, because I know for myself, I'll only speak from that place, doing what I do as a coach, I sometimes have this belief that it's like, okay, I have all these tools, I should just move through this very quickly. And I think that's one of the things I do appreciate about you when we talked last Friday, because it was right after everything kind of came to the surface, is you asked, do you want to do a clearing? Do you want to? Because sometimes, and I've asked that of friends when they call and it's like, okay, are you looking for a friend hat or are you looking for the coaching hat? Because the answers are going to be different. And sometimes we just need that friend space of, I know it's a safe space. I know they're not going to judge me for having these bitchy, judgy feelings that I'm having. They're not going to judge me for throwing a temper tantrum right now or having a meltdown or giving into PMS or whatever it happens to be, because we've had those PMS calls too.
Those are fun.
Oh, they are fun. And what's really awesome is we can now most of the time recognize, oh, this is PMS induced.
Yeah.
Because then we can handle it differently for ourselves, but also for each other. And sometimes we just have to have that space to, I'm going to feel the feelings. They may or may not be rational. My desire to be like, I cut you off, you are dead to me because you won't sign this thing. Really? No, I made a vow almost 6 years ago, but there's that internal struggle. And I know that when I talk to Leela, she's not going to be all, really? Well, don't you think you're being a little bit? No, there is none of that. It's like, great, this is how you feel. Usually it comes out as, that's an interesting perspective. That's when I know. That's when I know she's going to come up with something. But yeah, sometimes we do need.
I mean, because it's really all perspective.
It really, well, exactly. That's my map of reality.
Yeah. I mean, the perspective is my mover of heavy furniture is now fired. I have to hire a new one. Or the perspective is, on his annual review.
Right.
Or there is the perspective of, who actually knows what the fuck was the reasoning behind that situation, but it is now resolved, and who gives a fuck?
Right. Well, and I think that's a really key piece. And we talked about that on call, where if the answer is no, when you ask,
Yeah.
how do you move through that? How do you still get what you need and move through it? Because you could have easily not where you're at now. I know at one point in my life, I could have easily been like, really? Bye-bye. You're not going to help me move this? Or I would have been like, great, you're not going to help me move this mover of big things. I will find another mover of big things and bring them over to move the big things while you're here, just to piss you off.
I've never been that person out loud, but in my head, I have been that person. So this is really interesting, and this is sort of not in the asking arena, but it's certainly in the growth arena.
Yeah.
There is a quote, and I cannot remember who it is, and if you know who it is, please let me know so I can credit them. But relationships are just a series of moments. And the difference between a good relationship and a bad relationship is having more good moments than bad moments.
Yes. I have heard.
And even though this particular relationship is about 19 months old, perhaps a little older, I can actually count the bad moments.
Nice.
And even those bad moments are like, oh, we're so much better now. That was great.
Well, and again, it brings it back to how do you relate to certain things? What defines bad? What's a bad moment?
When we don't like each other.
Got my birthday. Is that a bad moment? Is it you cheated on me? Is that a bad moment? What's on your spectrum? What constitutes a bad moment? Because what's a bad moment for one person would be like, ain't no big thing to another.
Yeah, and I guess bad moments depend on the relationship too.
Yeah.
Because I've been cheated on. That was a bad moment.
Been there, done that. I get that.
You're driving my car and you're late to pick me up from work. I'm standing outside because work is closed.
That's a bad moment.
You're my friend and I told you something in confidence, but then I heard it come out of somebody else's mouth. You made a baby with my husband.
That's that might go beyond a bad moment.
You did not move the heavy thing, damn it. And I needed the heavy thing moved before Monday.
Well, I think that's where, so all of those were, and not with the mover or the relationship you're in, but those are all your bad moments that you've had, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's because earlier you said, I realize that this isn't the same as what, you're talking about. And it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
Because those emotions may not.
Moving furniture is one thing, but this is like life stuff.
Yeah.
That's
you had a baby with my husband. Okay, they're both bad moments.
Bad moment.
In the end, you probably assign a specific value and level of bad. But at the end of the day, really what it comes down to is, what is it that I need that I'm not getting? Mm-hmm. And in the moving big things moment, it was the assistance to move the big things.
Yes.
In the other moment, love, respect, I don't know, there's probably a whole bunch of other things.
Basic common sense. Oh wait, maybe not.
What do you
It was
not
so
that
funny.
you need? Yeah, faithfulness. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
guessing. I'm just projecting, but Mhm.
basic human decency.
Yeah.
Really funny though, because everybody was upset with her except me.
Mhm.
I was just like, damn, you went and made your life harder. It's rough. Cause if
Sucks for
he's
you, dude.
if he cheated on me
Mm.
for 14 years, he's not fathering my kiddos. Do you think you got diamonds up there?
Right.
Like, what do you expect is gonna happen, boo?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause yeah.
Yeah,
I tend to put the because I have had not making a baby level of cheating on. Um, and I confronted her. Not in a bad way, not in a I'm gonna kick your ass and let's, duke it out way. But it's like, I wanna hear from you what's going on.
yeah. So this is a friend, or like it was a friend until that moment.
Uh More acquaintance. I mean, we've been to barbecues together.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
And all I got was, I'm at work, I can't talk about this now. You really need to, you need to talk to him. And then I got a call from him reading me the riot act. I had no right to call her. Really?
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 She's now my girlfriend, boo.
Well, she wasn't my girlfriend.
We're now in this together. No, what I mean is like you brought her into our relationship, so now I have a right to talk to her, or at least
Oh,
that's my
well, yes, right? Yeah.
But yeah,
And I put the onus on them both, frankly. But again, and this is what's so fabulous is, and I know people who they don't blame him at all. They blame her completely for being the home wrecker. It's like, that's a perspective I have a hard time wrapping my head around. Your perspective, I can wrap my head around. Dude, you just made your life harder, not necessarily blaming her. Now, my thought is, if you know somebody's married, what are you doing? But
I
everybody
mean,
has their shit. Everybody has their thing.
so my reason for not being upset was that marriage was done, but he was still legally my husband, and in his mind, I was his wife because they that particular religion that he follows believes that as long as those papers are intact, then we are married. Now, did he behave in such manner? Well,
I was gonna
no.
say it's interesting how we pick and in this
Exactly.
pick
So,
and choose what parts of our religion we want to follow.
yeah, and I mean, we were separated 2 months before they started sleeping together, and it was like 11 months later when she got pregnant.
Mm.
Now she's devastated to find out he was also sleeping with 4 other women and was using her for money. Wow. I am gonna write that book, but it might start out as a podcast on Patreon. Stay tuned. Uh,
Perfect. So
um,
when you get ready to do that, what will your ask be? Tune in.
Tune in, make donations. But my perspective was our marriage is over.
Mhm.
And so you two are free people. Like our marriage was over and our friendship was over. So you
Right.
two are free people, go forth and do things. But now that you've made a mess, you're pregnant, he's in jail, you found out he was also sleeping with these 4 other women, and now you want us to be one big happy family? Ooh. Mm. See, I'm gonna need him to introduce my children to your new baby because that's y'all's situation. I'm not about to hold their hand and try to explain to them why that's not mommy's baby, but that's still your little brother.
Yeah, no, that's daddy's responsibility.
Yep.
So and that goes to boundaries, which is
Yeah.
really about the asking, boundaries and the attachment piece, boundaries and getting what it is that you need. And I think that's the big key in all of this, whether it's furniture moving, whether it's now you introduce our kids to your new baby with her, whether it's, sign this thing to fix this shit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's the ask and the boundaries and the knowing what's at the core of what it is we want.
So
I want stability. Do I really care if this stuff gets signed and done? When I look at the heart of it, it's like, yes, because it means that there's one thing that I don't have to manage. There's one thing that I don't have to step in and deal with a whole bunch of paperwork and headache and agencies and organizations and the medical field and the, paperwork. I deal with enough paperwork. This would mean I don't have to. And some of the stability and the answers I need.
Yeah.
Would be easier.
Yeah.
So, okay. If I let go of, but I don't, because part of what's at the core of it is I don't want to. Part of it is it's sort of that love language thing. And in my love language, that would tell me, I love you.
Is that an act of service, sort of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got it.
For me, I love the pat on the back and the accolades and the words. Yes. But the act of service for me is kind of a biggie.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
a lot of it has to do with, and I keep going back to the airplane ticket. Getting home for the funeral, which I'm really pleased at the choices that have come up. I actually am going home to help my nephew and see family. 2 months later, didn't go home for the funeral, and it's been the best thing. And still someone else is gifting me that ticket.
Not yummy.
It really is. And
especially
since the back and forth of making the plane ticket happen meant the plane ticket went down by $100. Even though it's not my money I saved, it was still really awesome. Thank you, universe. It just, what you asked, well, what is it that you ultimately want? What's the outcome you ultimately want? And really it was to be there to support my nephew. It wasn't to go home for the funeral. And so in the situation, in the moving furniture situation, in the will you do this and sign this thing, in this, it doesn't matter what. Now, after that exercise with that particular instance, it's been easier to stop and look at. So what's the ultimate outcome? And I want to respect our time. I just looked at the clock and I know you need to go.
Yeah, I got a few more minutes, but I love that. I love ending in this space.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm like, okay, if there's one thing to take away from this whole call, so I hope that all of you people in the future watched till the end or fast forwarded or whatever. But I think that's the big thing is ultimately, what's the end result you're looking for?
Yeah, because it can come in so many ways. And I also want to add a little bit about you're asking for what you're asking for. I'm asking for this furniture to be moved. What I really want is I don't want to pay my trash company a fine. And this item cannot come back into my house.
Yeah.
And so I want it gone. And I could have been really, really bent out of shape with my mover of heavy things. And I could have gone all girl with ultimate PMS on him and cried and thrown a fit. I have done that. Not with him, but I have done that. Or I could have, there could have been many ways that I could have handled it. But the bottom line is it didn't come back in my house and I didn't pay the trash company a fine. Done. And
Right.
It's gone.
You ended up ultimately getting what it was that you wanted.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like that thing, this person helping me do this thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was getting it out of the house and not having to pay a big ass fine.
Yeah. Some random stranger. I don't know if it was a random stranger, some human, some glorious human, cut it up with some tool, shoved it into the trash cans.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is my invitation to you, glorious people watching this in the future. When you are asking, whether you're asking the universe or whether you're asking actual humans for something, consider what it is that you're actually asking for. And let us know.
Yes.
Let us know how it goes.
Love these adventures in asking.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.